Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pageant Sit Down. My name's Regina Elena, and welcome to the chat today. I see there are actually a bunch of you who are waiting for our guests, so I'm not going to keep you guys anticipating a little too long here. So, I don't even think that made sense. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pageant Sit Down, the MS Fighting Beauty Queen herself, Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hi! Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. I know there are a few people who are watching for you, but there might be some who don't know you. So, Christina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, for sure. My name is Christina Andaya, also known as the MS Fighting Beauty Queen. In terms of my lifelong journey with multiple sclerosis, aka MS, I've been battling it for 5 years now. And in terms of my pageant past as being the beauty queen, I am also known as a Typicals Perfect Miss 2017 and Miss Galaxy Toronto 2019, also known as MG6.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You were my Team Galaxy Toronto sister for that year, and watching your journey grow on stage was amazing. You were also one of the top 5, I believe, in my. Yes. Don't discredit yourself. You were not just Miss Galaxy Toronto, but you were also a runner-up. So, congratulations on that. Wow, our group chat is going. All right. So, Angelica says, hello, best. She also says, so proud. Alex says, that's our girl. And Melly Teresa says, my adding. So, looks like we have a group here with us today. So, if any of you have a question for Christina that you've been dying to ask her, or maybe you want to expose her on air, leave in the comments section and I will be sure to include them in the conversation. So, first off, Christina, how are you?
I am doing all right. I am just taking it day by day in this pandemic. With ever since COVID-19 began with the first wave of the lockdown here, it basically brought back a lot of memories for me with my childhood upbringing because it is very similar to COVID lockdown. Basically, all I need to do was to go to school and stay home, and that was pretty much it. And it was very similar for how my parents grew up as well, because they went through a similar ordeal with just staying at home and going to school for that part.
Wow. Yeah. So that, I guess it is, you're all homebodies anyway, so you're used to it. You're like, yeah, this is normal. Yeah. So Christina, I'm going to start off actually with a question from Instagram. So Anne Marie, who's actually been on our show last week, she asks, when did you first get diagnosed with MS?
Great question. In terms of my story with MS, it began in 2016. It started out of nowhere with the tinnitus, which is, for those who don't know, that is ringing in the ears. In this case, it affected both of my ears. After getting a referral from my family doctor, I went to a specialist, an ENT, an ears, nose, and throat doctor, and he gave me a hearing test and told me to take a couple MRIs. From there, I received a phone call from my family doctor telling me that I have 12 small brain lesions, white spots found in my MRI. And so I had to see 2 different neurologists. The first neurologist that was referred to by the specialist wasn't able to help me, and I felt very discouraged and traumatized because he didn't really acknowledge my pain with a newly diagnosed type of findings from my results. However, the neurologist referred to me by my family doctor, I'm seeing her ever since, and she was able to give me a proper diagnosis saying I have multiple sclerosis. In this case, there are various kinds of MS. The one that I have is radiologically isolated syndrome, which is an asymptomatic version of MS. Because to be honest, when I got MS, I never really had experienced any symptoms until now.
Oh, wow. So what does it feel like? So I know you say there's ringing in the ears, but are there other early signs that we might be able to detect right away?
In my case for MS, it developed over time within a span of a few years, it went to a point where my neurologist recommended me and my mom to let me take the treatment, and this treatment was able to slow down the symptoms. So in this case, it's just a band-aid and there's no cure for it yet. But in terms of the medication that I'm taking, which is called Tecfidera, a type of oral medicine, it's just preventing brain lesions from coming inside to my brain and just being able to handle the fatigue or any kind of symptoms like muscle spasms or pain or muscle tingling.
Wow. So MS, for somebody that doesn't know exactly what it's like to live with it, is it just the muscle tingling, the tiredness? What is it like to live in the shoes of Christina?
In my perspective, for the past 5 years, it is still a learning journey for me and my family, because I am the only one in my family to be diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I'm very happy that no one else in my family has it, but at the same time, it is bittersweet because I feel very alone that I have no one else in my family to be able to relate it to. But I'm very happy and grateful that I have a great group that shows me a lot of love and support and just a lot of understanding that they are here for me, able to accommodate me, whatever that I may need. And since I've been taking Tecfidera for the past couple of years, I sadly cannot have alcohol because it would attack the effects from able to make Tecfidera to be very effective in my immune system.
I mean, you're not missing much, Christina. Don't worry. Your health is more important than a sip of wine. I promise you that.
I get that a lot. But I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I've seen everybody drinking alcohol and they seem very lit. And I'm just like, hi.
Oh my God, your personality in itself, I've known you for a few years now. Your personality lights up the room that you don't even need to drink. So don't worry. You're lit all the time, okay? How about that?
I try to be, but thank you.
You're welcome. So we have more comments from your friends here. Alex says hashtag above and beyond. And Angela says hashtag PFP. She also says, we love you, Christina. Alex says, only thing I'll expose for Christina. Oh. Only thing I'll expose for Christina. Girl was my rock in college. Aww. Thanks for helping me survive. PFP. Thanks for keeping me grounded. Oh. I thought we were getting some tea over here, but it was just a nice message.
It's a lot of, mainly a lot of tea that I could share based from my friends' behalf from Humber College is literally just me trying to survive gym class. And I nearly failed gym class because I'm not athletically strong in that sense, where we have to do the obstacle course as seen as like the recruitment for any policing department, even the RCMP. And just trying to drag a 150-pound dummy across the gym was not easy either. But thankfully, we all survived and graduated, and above and beyond.
There you go. And Angela says, Christina is an amazing, lovable person. Love you since grade 9. That is so sweet. So you have a lot of fans here. And again, if you have any questions for Christina, make sure you leave them in the comments below. Going back to your story, Christina, so you were diagnosed, you're the first one in your family, this is all brand new to you. What was it like, being in your 20s, early 20s, late teens, to being diagnosed with this life-changing, I don't want to say disease because I don't like saying that. This life-changing diagnosis, how about that?
That or condition, whatever one works for you or
but
for
what is the
else.
proper? But what is the proper way of calling it?
If one ever were to define it, it is technically an autoimmune disease. But if for anyone who is uncomfortable with saying disease, which is totally understandable, in this case, you're more than welcome to say this or condition. Because personally, through my perspective, even though that my family and I are still learning every day. We're still new, and those two terms are fine for me personally.
Okay, I just don't want to offend you, which is why I like to ask. But what was it like for you? You know, you're so young, and then to be told you have MS, what was it like for you?
It was definitely uneasy because I'm thinking what else could happen to me. And then when the topic of discussion for treatment came about with my neurologist and my mother, I told my mom, like, in order for me to have like have a good proper long term of a long life type of indicator or goal at this point, especially if I ever were to have kids, hopefully someday, it's important for me that I have to take care of myself, because the worst thing that MS can do is make me disabled through my mobility. So far, the worst it has done for me personally ever since taking Tecfidera was give me a lot of fatigue, especially during the summertime, which in this case would be, for me, heat sensitivity.
So now,
Especially now, there are some days where fatigue can hit me really bad, and then I would just have to fall asleep. And honestly, it was a really good nap, because I would take a nap that would last for 3 to 5 hours.
that's how much sleep some people get in a night. So
Yeah.
it sounds like a great nap for anyone.
Oh, for sure.
So Christina, you mentioned with MS it makes you tired, and you competed in a pageant where it's a long day, it's a long weekend. How did that affect you at Galaxy?
In terms of Galaxy, well, when I came out of retirement, I knew that I had to take my MS into account, because if I'm going to be able to do my best, I have to not only look good, I have to feel good too. So definitely I have to make sure that I had my medicine with me, that I'm taking all my vitamins and my medication as directed by my doctors. And just honestly, just have a good time, because they all wanted me to have fun for sure.
Well, it's so crazy to hear like the effects that MS has on you, because I saw you at Galaxy. You killed it. You were runner up. You had all the energy in the world. No one could have imagined that this is what you were fighting. So you are strong. You definitely are a fighter from what your platform says you are. Oh, more comments from your friends. So Melly Teresa says, Christina is the most kindest, sweetest, strongest person I've ever known. I've only known her for 2 years and she's already become a sister to me. Most people say we're like twins. Wow.
That is a very well-known fact. And yesterday was actually her birthday, so happy belated, ate.
Happy birthday. She actually asked, I have a question. How do you stay positive and upbeat through it all?
Whether it's with MS or even a pandemic while I'm battling MS, and honestly, with any kind of journey that I'm taking, my MS will always be there. So I'm just taking it day by day, and just people for me to be kind to myself and be able to forgive myself for knowing that I can't do anything anything else is just fine. And honestly, I'm more place knowing that I have a really strong support system, along with my cat, who provides great cat therapy.
And your cat has its own Instagram. So, ladies and gentlemen, follow her Instagram.
But sadly, her Instagram hasn't been very active lately, but people can just ask me about how is she and all that stuff, and I'll be sure to send a lot of photos or videos or any kind of tea.
I love that. I love that. So Christina, let's talk a little bit about pageantry. So you did Perfect, correct? Miss World's Perfect or Canada's Perfect?
I did both, and when it was Canada's Perfect for me at the time, at least, it was under a different director. So she was the one who reached out to me to come compete at Worlds, and I said that is fine. Next thing, crowned as a Tobaco's Perfect Miss, and it was actually my very first title, which I'm very proud and grateful for, because I never knew that it was possible for me to get a title, whether if it's regional or even provincial or let alone nationally. I'm just very happy and grateful that I got to compete. And being able to compete at Worlds, it is honestly, just like they say, it is a mix of literally pageantry and fashion show. It's just with a lot of sparkles. The way I see it, it's like the Victoria's Secret fashion show in Miss Universe.
Wow, that's amazing. So, pageantry, did it come naturally to you, or was it something that every little girl, or not every, but some little girls' biggest dreams is to be Miss Universe one day? Being Filipino, I know that pageantry is huge in our culture. So, what was it that inspired you or sparked pageantry in your mind?
That is also a great question because it was more pageant when I first began to compete. I actually began in 2010 after I saw the performance of Binibining Filipinas Universe, Venus Raj. And when she was representing for Philippines in 2010 at the time, she made it to the top 5. And looking back, I thought, hey, why not? I can do it too. So maybe my parents would let me compete, and thankfully they did. So it was very cool and a very surreal moment for me.
It's interesting that you mentioned Venus Raj because not a lot of people know this, but she was actually one of the beauty queens that I looked up to when she first started as well.
Really?
Being morena and being dark skinned. It was more like, oh my gosh, my entire life I've been told that I was too dark. But now here's someone representing the Philippines who is darker than I am. So this is like, wow.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because when I talk to people, they usually are in the likes of Pia and Catriona. So it's so great to hear you mention Venus Raj because she's very inspiring.
Absolutely, and for sure, especially with her story, just seeing her that someone who we're able to relate to, even though that Pia and Catriona are great role models for sure. There's no doubt about that. Venus Raj was the one that started the trend for Philippines to be able to make it to the finals. So I was very happy and grateful for that. And plus, I wanted, if I ever were to see her in person, I just want to personally thank her for inspiring me to get into pageants.
I actually have met her and I took a picture with her. It was the most unflattering picture of me, but she's so pretty. But
So
we'll make it
lucky.
happen for you. Don't worry, don't worry. So Christina, you have not stepped on pageant or into pageant since Galaxy of 2019, and that was you stepping out of retirement. Are you continuing the journey, or are you back in retirement?
Well, I'm not officially retired per se. To be honest, originally my dad said he wanted me to retire, only because he was fine with me being second runner up for Canada Galaxy. So I'm like, oh, but a lot of people want one more match. But I'm like, Mom?
I want one more. Yeah, Mom.
One more match would have been nice, but I would love to compete again if God willing, if I'm being able to. I was supposed to hopefully compete someday, maybe after I see my grandmother in the Philippines, but sadly, with COVID struck and everything and created all this chaos, I have to wait until further notice until I can compete again. But first, I need to see my grandmother, first and foremost.
I love that you're all about family. You talk about your dad and you talk about your mom and putting things on hold because you want to see your grandma. I love how family oriented you are. And I love that your mom was at the pageant last time. I remember seeing her there with you. And I just love the support that you get. What was it like for your parents, for you to be on your first pageant stage and then to see you crowned Etobicoke's World's Perfect or Etobicoke's Perfect?
Well, definitely. Well, when I was crowned at Typical's Perfect at the time, it was virtual, so it was kind of a short notice
Whoa,
type
virtual.
It was virtual at the time, but I'm just very thankful that I was able to get my and. But then after competing at Worlds, I did make a promise to both of my parents at the time, saying that I will officially retire from pageantry because I'm already happy with just being able to compete for and get the crown as a regional title holder, and then being able to being the first one in my family to compete internationally is a huge honor, and it's very surreal for me.
So wait, you competed in one pageant, one virtual pageant, and then you're like, I'm done. I'm retired.
Well, at the time, because at the time, but then things happen, so I'm just like maybe one more matches in the future. But since I've recently been accepted to my master's of sociology at York University, there's a chance that pageantry may need to be put on hold again.
I mean, anything is possible. I ended up in the Ms. division. No, there's no age limit to pageantry anymore, which I love.
Yeah.
Alex says, hashtag one more match. And Alex also has a question. They ask, quick question. For my girl, if you had to, I guess for you, I'm like, who's your girl? For you, if you had a song that you could walk down the runway, what would it be?
Ooh, is this like a pageant runway song or a wrestling type of vibe?
Both, because I know you're into wrestling. How about we do both? What would be your intro for wrestling, and then your runway for the catwalk?
Well, I would say for wrestling for sure, it would be. There's a few. One of them is Remember the Name with Fort Minor. The other one is Sasha Banks's theme song, and the other one is Rob Van Dam's theme song. Two of the wrestlers that I mentioned previously just now are my favorites.
Love that. And so how about for the pageant world?
That is a very good question, because in terms of pageantry, it really depends whether or not if the segment is like for swimsuit or fashion wear or evening gown wear. I mean, it really depends. It can go from a really hype beat music to a point where it's just for Neo to just independent for the evening gown.
Okay, so how about this? If it was your dream song to be playing, regardless if it was swimwear, fashion, evening gown, what would, say this was your last pageant, this is Christina's retiring from pageantry, this is the last song that I'm ever going to walk on stage to, what would it be?
In this case, Miss Independent by...
It's a good song.
I agree. Very empowering for sure.
It is. It's an amazing song. It's got a great beat to it. So, I mean, you can walk to any segment.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. Great question, Alex. So if anyone else has any questions for Christina, be sure to leave them in the comments below. But actually, I just looked at the time. We are at the halfway point, Christina.
Already?
And so, I know. So for all of those who are new to the show, hi, hello. We have a segment called 5 Tips of Beauty Queen. So Christina, what would be your 5 tips for any pageant hopeful watching us tonight?
This is honestly the segment that I've been waiting for, because it's down. This was actually my homework. So the 5 tips I can give to any pageant hopefuls out there is: 1, remember to take care of yourself, whether if it's on or off the stage, or even if you're battling MS or any kind. Please remember to take care of yourself, because it is definitely physically and mentally exhausting to take on such a big role. Especially in the world of pageantry, we are being held up to the highest expectations, from our looks to our body and just everything in between. The second one is do your research. So for any pageant hopefuls out there, please do your research when you're wanting to try out a new pageant. Definitely see what's in there. Feel free to contact the pageant directors or the organizations to see if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, especially of the categories in which you will be potentially be competing in and what they entail. The third one I have is practice and prep. Definitely practice your walk, your walk or your interview questions, or any kind of component that you need. And especially with the preparations that you have to have to go for, whether it's for swimsuit or evening gown or even fashion wear. It's just you always have to like visualize to see what kind of wardrobe that you would want to have and go from there. And plus, honestly, if you need feedback, feel free to ask anyone in your family or your friends or even maybe a pageant coach. Who knows? Fourth one is believe in yourself. Please be kind to yourself. And this also leads back to the first tip I gave out, because even though that you wanting to compete and you're at that stage, it is very important that you believe and be kind to yourself, because honestly, anybody would love to win, and it would be great if we all got crowns. It'll be nice if I have a crown again, but in this case, just remember that you are going to do great no matter what, especially no matter what happens at coronation night. It's with its aftermath, you did amazing, and know that you're truly loved. And the last one is the last advice I could give to all of you is basically have fun. You've invested your time and your money in this pageant, and especially with anything that you do, just go have fun with it. Have fun making friends who are now your pageant sisters, and honestly, these memories that you're gonna have will last for a lifetime.
I love that. Those are 5 amazing tips, Christina. So, for anyone that wants to follow you or find more about your pageant journey or your comeback, as Alex says, hashtag one more match, where can they find you?
In this case, in case if you want to follow my journey as being the Emma's Fighting Beauty Queen, feel free to go to Instagram and just type in Emma's Fighting Beauty Queen. And from there, I get to post my stories every Monday. So in this case, my stories are also can be seen on Tumblr with the same name.
Amazing. So the link for her Instagram is down below in the description. So after the show, make sure you go follow her, because she does put a lot of great content and her followers are growing, and I think it's just an amazing platform that you have. It's very unique, as who may be doing beauty pageants might not be so open to sharing their journey, and I think it takes someone very strong and vulnerable like yourself to do that. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's talk a little bit more about pageantry, and then we'll touch base with us, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
I do want to know, if you were to make a comeback into the pageant world, what would be your dream pageant to compete in?
Oh man, I have a feeling all the pageant directors are looking at me right now. And, oh man,
no pressure.
No pressure indeed. There are 2 at the moment. One of them is obviously Canada Galaxy, because hey, why not one more match? And then the other pageant I would love to get into, hopefully, maybe someday, is Canada's Top Choice pageant.
Love that. So both of them are they're both in Toronto. They're both community service driven. And I think that says a lot about you and where your goals are. So that's amazing. I'm just going to leave it with Alex. Hashtag one more match. Let's see what happens.
We'll see.
And Christina, you've done a few pageants now. You've learned a lot. You've grown a lot. What is one thing that you learned the most about yourself during this pageant journey of yours?
It means I am more capable than I thought, in terms of being able to get crowned regionally back in 2017, and then having a surprise treat of being able to compete internationally. I think is very surreal. That's one thing for sure, because usually I know that it's usually that applies with national title holders when it comes to international pageants, but being a regional title holder at the time was a blessing in itself. And plus, in terms of Galaxy, it would be really cool knowing that
you froze a little bit, Christina. Oh, okay. So we're going to wait while Christina's internet comes back. I'm not sure what happened there. But again, if you all have questions for her, make sure you leave them in the comments. Oh, there, she's back.
I didn't
Christina,
think that
would... Okay, you're back. You cut off for a second. I was like, oh no, we're gonna get her back. Okay, so you're talking about top choice, no, Galaxy.
Galaxy. Yes, so in terms of Galaxy being able to come back as second runner-up and then being able to complete the 10 appearances that I had to do as bonus points, 5 bonus points to be exact. I am very happy that I was placed as second runner-up. For that, I am very grateful.
It's amazing. Well, you did a really great job. And the reason why I said top choice is because Melissa Gregory, the current Miss I'm getting all my pageants mixed up. The
okay.
reigning Miss Canada Top Choice 2020. She says join Canada Top Choice.
I am thinking about it. It's up in the works. We shall see after my master's and after a visit to Grandma's house.
And the best part is both the pageants, they actually have a Miss division, right? So regardless of what age you decide to come back to the pageant world, there is no age limit anymore. So I am excited to see where you end up. So Christina, a lot of people are encouraging you to come back. A lot of kind words of people telling you how much they love you and how much they appreciate you. How does it feel to hear all of these things, especially in a time where we don't get to see our friends and family?
Yeah, and especially with the comments that keep on pouring in during this live stream. One, you guys are going to make me cry by Levy 3000. Sorry. But honestly, I'm just very blessed and grateful that I have my family and I have my friends, and we're able to use what we have, our resources, our technology, to be able to reach out to each other, being able to communicate. And even though it's not the same as in person, it means we're taking it day by day and we're not alone. We're in this together.
100%. Or 3,000%, whichever way you want to put it. So Christina, let's talk back about MS. So you were diagnosed a few years ago. You now have this platform, MS Fighting Beauty Queen. What is it that you want to gain or want to teach people with your new title or your new platform?
That is a very good question as well. To be honest, in the end, I just want people to know about MS and gain more understanding and more perspective. They are more than welcome to reach out to me in case if anyone has any questions. And plus, hopefully, it would be a good platform for me to speak out on, hopefully, the Canadian federal government to implement national pharmacare, to be extending our national health care, because in Canada, for those who don't know, we have free health care. It's just with the pharmacare itself, for our medication, we have to pay out our own expenses, whether it's through insurance coverage or actually paying it ourselves. In terms of my treatment with multiple sclerosis with Diera, I was covered at the time but under my mom's insurance before I turned 25. I knew from the get-go, as soon as I took my treatment, that I was going to have financial troubles in the long run at a certain point. Back in around like a few months ago, whether it's early or late February of this year, sadly, the federal government turned down to pass pharmacare, and that really broke my heart because, one, I can't handle the expenses because mostly it's covered under my insurance right now, and then the remaining 20 is covered by the Ministry of Health. Sadly, not a lot of MS fighters, or for anyone dealing with this various chronic conditions, I might say, pardon me, has the same opportunity or the same accessibility. So for that, I really do implore the federal government and even our provincial government to step up and make sure this comes into play, because this will definitely save us millions of dollars in the long run.
And millions of people as well.
Exactly. That as well.
Well, Christina, I think what you're doing and using your platform and your voice to raise awareness to MS is amazing, because I was telling you, I didn't know what it was until my brother's friend's father had it. How common MS?
That is a very good question. That is something that I have to still research myself. Um, Definitely, it is. I would say it would. Hmm,
Let's do a quick Google search.
let's Google actually. Be- Does it?
Go ahead. You could talk. You could talk. It's gonna take me a minute.
Oh, that's fine. In that case, because in my case, for it wasn't common in my family, but even though I am a Filipina, it is very weird that I would get MS. I don't know a lot of Filipinas, especially whether if it's here in North America or a different part of the continent around the world, that we would get MS. So I'm based on my assumption, it could be rare.
So it says, how many people have MS worldwide? There are more than 2.3 million people who have been diagnosed with MS. While MS is not contagious or hereditary, MS is, I can't read today. Why did I decide to read? Anyways,
It's okay.
in the United States alone, it is roughly 3.5 in every 1,000 people that have been diagnosed with MS.
Oh wow, yeah. And that
We're learning something new today.
every day. And this is part of my journey that I'm dealing with as a MS fighting beauty queen. Even like beyond the titles and all that stuff, I'm still dealing with the lifelong battle. And I'm not sure how it will affect me 10, 20 years from now, but I am praying that there will be a cure since there's no cure yet. But there is in the works, according to Pfizer, that I found out from MS Society of Canada, saying that Pfizer will be using the same technology, the mRNA technology that they use for the COVID vaccines, and they'll be using that to see if they can treat multiple sclerosis. So that is currently in the works, and there's honestly a
Well, hopefully we find something soon. Sarah Edmonds, our Ms. Galaxy Sudbury, is on here, and she says hello. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
So for those who are tuning in, I know there are quite a few of you. If you have any questions for Christina, whether it be about MS, whether it be about pageantry, make sure you leave them in the live chats and be a part of the conversation, because we got a whole party going on in the group chat. So hello, everyone. Christina, what is it that you want, or how can we help you with your mission?
With my mission, that is a very good question. In this case, on May 30th is actually World MS Day. So on that day, here is my official call to action for all of you. For those who are living across Canada from coast to coast to coast, I implore all of you on May 30th to please contact your local MPs, your federal members of parliament, and tell them to bring back pharmacare and let that legislation be passed at the table, please. For not just for me, but for the millions of MS fighters and for other people across Canada who are dealing with their own respective conditions.
Amazing. And earlier off the show, you mentioned that May is actually MS Awareness Month. Is that correct?
That is correct. Well, in Canada anyway, it is. I'm not sure why it's on May. I'm even contact the MS Society of Canada, and they're still trying to find that answer, and hopefully they'll get back to me soon. But in terms of countries like the UK and the US, their MS month is actually in March.
Do you think it's the M? M in May, M in March?
It's a possibility. I mean, anything is possible. But usually, when it comes to the color to bring awareness to MS, it is typically orange, even though in Canada it's red.
Oh,
yeah.
Canada's different that way.
Maybe, but I'll wear both just to celebrate both.
Orangey red.
Orange and red. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. As we continue our conversation, I do have a question from Instagram, if I could open my phone.
Okay.
So the question is from, on Instagram, her name is Led Christine. She says, "What inspires you to model?"
Well, to in all honesty, pageantry is the closest thing that I'll ever get to modeling. I'm not going to lie. But this also leads back to my pageant beginnings with watching Miss Raj on stage after placing top 5 in Miss Universe, and just seeing the beauty queens after her, like Shamsi Supsup, who is the national director of Universe Philippines, or even Janine Tugonong, who is one of my favorites. In all honesty, just being able to look good, feel good, and have fun is really just part of it.
It's amazing. So, Christina, you are an inspiration to many people. Clearly, they're all here, not all, but some of them are here in the chats. You're very inspiring to Team Toronto when we competed together at Galaxy Canada. Who's your inspiration? Aside from pageantry, aside from modeling, who is your inspiration?
That is a very good question. In all honesty, if I ever were to pick, definitely my family, actually my parents. Growing up, both of them have dealt with their respective hardships growing up, and from there, they have worked their way to where they are now. And just being able to see them with their hard work and being amazing with themselves and being so resilient. I'm just very lucky that I have them in my life.
It's amazing. Well, like I said, you're very family oriented, and it shows and explains why. So that's great. And your mom is so amazing. I've met your mom a few times, and she's so hardworking. She's so great. Tita, if you're watching, hello.
Well, she's currently eating dinner right now, but I'll make sure that she gets the message. If anything, she'll probably say hi.
Hi. Christina, it's been so great catching up with you and seeing your journey with MS and sharing your story with MS. Let's talk about that for a second. So, I remember one day going on Instagram and seeing a post from you, and you had shared with the world what you are going through. What was that like for you to be so vulnerable and so open with the world, really?
It means that I'm also I also know that this is going to be very rough for me. So I thought, in case if anybody wants to check out and check in to see how I'm doing, you know what, I might as well. I'm dealing with the unknown, and this is still unknown 5 years later, especially with the pandemic on top of it. So hopefully it would give some kind of update to hopefully what they're looking for. And in case if they have any questions, like I said, they can reach out to me without any problem. I don't have any problems with sharing my story, because part of me feels very accountable and very responsible that I have to share my story. So maybe they would have some insight in case if they want to do anything for me, honestly. But in case of for my personal care, just for me, just being there is all it takes.
Hmm. And you have such a great village, let's call them that you have a great posse. I do want to ask you something, because I see on your social media, you huge wrestling fan. Huge wrestling fan. I mean, you surprise me with some of the things you post. One day you post you got MS, the next day you post wrestling, one day you post pageantry. It's like, I don't know what to expect from you. So what is it about wrestling? Is it just like mainstream wrestling like WWE, or are you more into like indie wrestling, if there's such a thing?
Well, there is such a thing as indie wrestling, and to be honest, my love for wrestling, whether it's WWE or previously WWF or WCW or ECW, this all began when I was little growing up. My father was watching wrestling, and I began watching wrestling on my own, mainly with Monday Night Raw. Like at the end of the Attitude Era when I was 6 years old. And honestly, from there, I got really hooked. And then eventually I started watching Friday night or Thursday night previously SmackDown, which is honestly, in my opinion, way better than Monday Night Raw. But from there, it's honestly just great seeing like these cool wrestling moves, especially even though they get a little bit extreme here and there, but honestly, it's so great to watch. And just seeing like the women's division now from what it was when I was growing up watching it, it was really cool seeing how they evolve, and just seeing knowing that there's like a women's Royal Rumble and the women's division getting their own tag team titles, because that was
And they had their own TV show.
Oh yes, and their own TV show too.
Yeah,
which is really
yes, I watched it.
Oh yeah,
I love the Bella twins. So I was like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, definitely. With Nikki and Brie Bella, they actually have the same birthday as me, which is November 21st. So that was really,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was really great to see. And honestly, I really love Nikki Bella's ring attire with the jersey, the sneakers, and the snapback hats. And honestly,
she's a mood.
She's
a complete mood.
Yeah. When she's being a total athlete, the next she's being bad and bougie.
I know. Would you ever consider learning how to wrestle? Like, my brother goes to wrestling school, and he learned how to do the whole facial expression. I can't even mimic him, but that'd be embarrassing on my end. Would you ever consider, going to wrestling school? And because I know it's something you're interested in. Is it something you're interested in learning?
Well, in this case, for wrestling itself, even with growing up, I honestly just love watching it in general, whether it's WWE or AEW, All Elite Wrestling, an up-and-coming indie promo. Part of me really did thought about like doing some high-flying moves, becoming some kind of wrestling superstar at one point, but then thinking back on it now, given with my MS condition, let's not worry my parents.
Okay, so if you could be a wrestler, what would your name? Ooh. I'm sure you thought about it. Like, let's be real. You can't be a fan and not think about what your stage name would be.
Well, in terms of my stage name, I haven't really thought about it, but I would love to add in like the MS Fighting Beauty Queen on it, because hey, why not?
That's your name right there. That's what you're gonna be known as.
It's gonna be a worldwide known brand. And in terms of my finishing moves, if I have any signature moves, it'll be from 5-star splash or some kind of submission hold.
Whoa. Stay away from Christina. Stay away from the MS Fighting Beauty Queen. I love that. I love it. Scott Dion Brown is in the chats. He says hello. Hello, hi. Scott. I don't know why I said your name with an accent, but hello. And so Chanel, the Ms. Canada Top Choice 2020 says, I wanted to know what was one of the biggest misconceptions people have surrounding MS. That's a great question.
That is honestly a great question. And plus I have a feeling that knowing that it is still new to everybody, especially in the medical industry, in the field, especially for us MS fighters, there's one in particular. There are some who have thought that MS is fatal. I would like to officially point out, especially live here on YouTube, that MS is an autoimmune disease. It is something that it can hurt me, but it will never kill me.
That's good to know. What was it like, I guess, for you to be the first in your family to be diagnosed with MS? What was it like for you to tell people? Because I know when your family is close, you can either get really great feedback and support, or it could be the complete opposite. What was it like for you?
Definitely, there is support for sure. A lot of love and understanding. There are some who are still trying to figure out what MS is, and that's totally understandable. I remember that there is someone being overwhelmed because it was a lot for them to take in, and especially with MS being still very unknown and really this very weird condition. Well, I personally call it weird. It's a very different situation and condition that I had to handle it on my own. So there's all kinds of range of emotions that are at play.
Mm-hmm. So going back to what Chanel was saying in terms of misconceptions, how do you handle people asking you, like, oh, is it contagious? Is it fatal? Like, how do you handle it?
Uh,
Or, sorry, go ahead. I'll ask you a different question afterwards. Sorry, I jumped in right away.
that's okay. If any case, thankfully no one has ever asked me if MS was contagious. If that, I would check. If someone ever were to ask me that pre-pandemic, I would probably feel very hurt thinking
Touch
about it.
them.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm fine. It's just something that they picked, like MS picked a battle with me, and it's not contagious. So, and plus with any kind of misconceptions, well, there are some that I still don't understand, but I'm willing to ask my doctor, my neurologist at St. Michael's Hospital, who is one of the best in the field who is dealing with MS, and I can ask her on your behalf, and I'm more than willing to give you a proper answer after my follow-up.
And so, you live this mysterious battle of yours and you're learning every day. What was it like for you during this pandemic then? Because now you're in isolation and it can be scary and you're still going to your appointments. What has this pandemic been like for you?
And when the first wave, when the lockdown hit, my mom and I thought I was going to be next, the somewhat the next target of COVID for me to get it. But thankfully, after my virtual appointment with my neurologist, she said that despite of my asymptomatic story of getting MS, I'm at low risk of getting it. So I am okay. And thankfully, I've just been staying at home living, reliving my childhood actually. Just being at home with my family and my cat, and just honestly just being able to handle that self-care and just being able to get ready to go out when the time comes. And thankfully, I was able to get the vaccine a few weeks ago on April 11th because I am, along with other MS fighters in Ontario, we are considered as surprisingly the highest risk chronic conditions, which is very surreal and very scary. So I'm very happy that I was able to. Thankfully, my second follow-up is in August.
Oh wow, that's really soon. So I'm really happy, that you're safe, that you're taking care of yourself, like you said in your tips to take care of yourself, and you're having fun with life, which is amazing. And you have clearly rubbed off on many people in the chat. So
Aww.
thank you for sharing your story with us, Christina, and for sharing with us who you are, because I know as much as those people who are in the chats know you are someone that everybody needs in their life. So thank you for joining us today. As we start to wrap things up, do you have any last words that you'd like to say to our viewers?
Oh man, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to everyone who is watching this live stream. I didn't expect this amount of love and support. Or first of all of you are going to make me cry, but honestly, I'm so truly blessed and grateful that all of you are at your own places, your own homes, wherever you may be. I'm so thankful that all of you are safe, and please continue as well. Can't wait to see and meet all of you soon, especially in the pageantry world, whenever that may be.
Love that. Melly Teresa says, love you, adding. So you do have a lot of love in the chat. And Christina, continue to stay safe, continue to stay healthy, and I cannot wait to see what your pageant journey, because hashtag what was it? One more match. Hashtag one more match. They're all saying, Alex says hashtag come clutch. You're all about the hashtags. I realize you and your friends, they're all about the hashtags.
Hashtags are a thing, and yeah, and honestly, we come clutch, whether it's trying to pass our classes, whether it's for like in the classes or even in gym class or even just in life in general. Hashtags with me and my college friends from Humber are a bust.
I've learned that with our Team Toronto hashtags. It was all hashtags, Christina. I loved it.
It was part of
And
the branding purposes, and especially with Team Toronto branding, I'm just like, hey, why not Team G6?
exactly, why not? And Angela, sorry, says love you best. So you have a lot of love here in the chat, a lot of people who support you. So Christina, continue to do your work in promoting and fighting MS, because you are truly an MS fighting beauty queen inside and out. So keep up the good work. And to all of those who are tuning in, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you had a great time with Christina and her friends in the chats. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to watch more Pageant Sit Down, we go live every Monday and Wednesday. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications on when we go live, or I go live. Christina's having a blast here, not realizing that I put the screen back on her. Christina, thank you so much for joining us. I had an amazing time with you this evening and catching up. It's always a pleasure. Your smile lights up the room, and now it lights up the internet. So again, stay safe, and everyone, we'll see you next time. Bye!